I'd like to thank everybody who helped to put together this very special Rebirthing King, Reinaugurating America gathering. At this moment when we begin a new chapter both in American history and in Martin Luther King Day celebrations. I'm sorry I can't be present in person, but appreciate this opportunity to send my greetings from my home in Detroit. It's taken me years of activism and reflection in Detroit to arrive at my current appreciation of the unique significance of King for the 21st century, and I'm still discovering new nuggets in his talks and in his life. During the 60s, my late husband Jimmy Boggs and I rejoiced at the victories of the civil rights movement in the South. But as activists struggling for black power in Detroit, we identified more with Malcolm than with Martin. In fact, we tended to think of King's call for nonviolence and his vision of the beloved community as somewhat naive and sentimental. However, as violence in Detroit and other cities escalated in the wake of the urban rebellions, I began to wonder whether events might have taken a different course if we had found a way to blend Malcolm's militancy with Martin's vision. It's only when we founded Detroit Summer, a program to engage young people in rebuilding, redefining, and respiriting a deindustrialized and devastated Detroit from the ground up, that I recognized a similarity between our vision and King's, when in his last talks, he said that what young people in our dying cities need are self-transforming and structure-transforming direct actions, and that this struggle is, in fact, the next stage beyond civil rights and black power. I also discovered that the last few years of his life, King viewed the American preoccupation with rapid economic growth as the source of our deepening crisis. So if we address the last 40 years since his death in struggling to make the radical revolution of values against the giant triplets of racism, materialism, militarism that he called for in his 1967 anti-Vietnam War speech, we would not be mired down in today's life and death and interconnected crises of economic meltdown, runaway global warming, and Mideast wars. Recently, I read the sermon on rediscovering lost values, preached by King at the historic Second Baptist Church in Detroit in 1954, when he was the age of the young people who played such an important role in Obama's Yes We Can campaign. 1954 was a time very much like our own, when people all over the world were wrestling with life and death questions of the future, if any, of ourselves and our planet. World War II had ended in 1945 with the dropping of the atom bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In 1948, we started the Cold War with the Soviet Union. In 1953, the USSR tested an H-bomb, and school children began practicing hiding under their desks in response to bomb alerts. Meanwhile, Einstein was warning that technological progress is like an axe in the hands of a pathological criminal. Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. We can't solve problems by the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. It was under these circumstances that the 25-year-old Martin preached his restoring lost values to a responsive Detroit congregation. The trouble isn't so much that our scientific genius lags behind, he said. The great problem facing modern man is that the means by which we live have outdistanced the spiritual ends for which we live. So we find ourselves caught up in a messed up world. The problem is with man himself and man's soul. We haven't learned how to be just and honest and kind and true and loving. The real problem is that through our scientific genius, we made of the world a neighborhood, but through our moral and spiritual genius, we failed to make of it a brotherhood. And the great danger facing us today is not so much the atom bomb that was created by physical science. The real danger confronting civilization today is that the atom bomb, which lies in the hearts and souls of men, is capable of exploding into the vilest of hate, into the most damaging selfishness. That's the atom bomb within the heart and the souls of men we've got to fear today. If we are to go forward today, he continued, we've got to go back and to rediscover some mighty precious values that we've left behind. Sometimes it's necessary to go backward in order to go forward. How do we go backward in order to go forward in this time of peril, when we have it within our power to distinguish life on earth, but are also worrying about keeping a roof over our heads and where our next meal is coming from? How do we put the neighbor back into our hoods? How do we grow our souls? One way is by building beloved communities and cities of hope. This is the direction King was pointing to in his final sermons, but which he did not have time to strategize. This is the path that began in Detroit with planting community gardens and is being traveled by others all across the country. Will Allen, the first African-American to play on the University of Miami basketball team, summed it up recently when he received the MacArthur Genius Award for growing power, the 2.5-acre urban farm he founded in Milwaukee to grow both food and community. We have to go back to when people shared things and started taking care of each other, he said. That's the only way we will survive. What better way to do it than with food?